go.
You go. We're live.
Well, hello, everyone. Today is 11/11, and today we have Desiree Patno. Before we start, I want to thank you, to give a big thank you to our servicemen and women who served our country and protected our freedoms. We honor you today. November is typically our number 12 principle and final principle. And curious enough, 11/12 is also my birthday. So it must be a sign that I should be here today with you moderating. So like I said, normally we discuss our number 12 principle, but because it is Veterans Day, we'd like to talk about veterans and women's issue in the veteran space. And with that, before we dive into that, Desiree, would you like to discuss some statistics on veterans?
Absolutely. Well, today is about build equality. And I believe that, if you think about it, if we put, one of the reasons we built the principles was really to talk about the fact is that you could substitute the word woman with anything. You could substitute with minorities, you could substitute with LGBTQ, veterans, you could go down the list. So today is our special celebration of veterans. And I believe that it's not just the day, it's every day. We need to celebrate in every moment, just like we need to empower women. And if you think about what our principle is today, is really about empowering women every day to achieve this success, correct? So what's so incredible is on the NDILC, Erica Courtney is our NDILC. She heads our veterans and so many different platforms within the NDILC of what's done. And she actually just got called to active duty, reinstated to be at Fort McCoy as a strategic analyst and core what she's doing, which is unbelievable. And that being said, if you think about the veterans piece, what they've done in the service, what they continue to do every day of their life, this is unbelievable. So before she left, part of the program is that we created what is called Zulu time. We actually trademarked Zulu time, which is military time, and what that looks like. And she was able to update some incredible statistics on what's going on in the veteran space. So if you look at the overall window of what's going on, the problems with what military veterans face, obviously we have the risk of mental and physical health problems of veterans have significantly elevated rates of suicide, psychiatric and physical illnesses, including depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, substance abuse, and obesity compared with civilian population. So if we go through, we look at the numbers, which is really important. It is often thought that as the World War II veteran population dies and the Vietnam era veteran population retires, that we would have less veterans than in past generations. This is untrue. We have more existing than ever before of the military. Since 2003, service members have been leaving the military at a rate of roughly 250,000 per year. There are 2.6 million post 9/11 veterans, and they are continuing to grow just under 3.5 million by the end of 2019. Unlike days when servicemen left in mass quantity, the post 9/11 veteran generation has been leaving sporadically, not in mass groups, which leads to veterans feeling alone. They do not go to their grandfather's lodge to find solace. The veteran population increased 46% between 2014 and 2019. That's only 5 years. And that's recent 5 years. Unlike, and 58% are under 34. That's amazing. The most vulnerable group of terms of obviously suicide and homelessness. Over 43% of these recently discharged veterans have reported service-related disabilities. So as we go down this and we talk about what we're doing to 74% though of the respondents said that the general public did not recognize female veteran service. One of the things that was so astonishing, and here we're talking about the women's side and what we can do for help the veterans in special celebration, is do you know currently right now in the state of Virginia, they don't have services for women when they get out as they do for men, for affordable housing, for services to help them to navigate between the transition from the veterans to civilian life. Think about being a single mother, getting out of the service. How do you get a job? How do you take care of your kids? If you have some things that were not pleasant, things that happened when you were in the service, getting out, all those different things. We have it for men, but we don't have it for women because there's not enough women. Those are the things we're talking about empowering women every single day. So the statistics here that I wanted to share real quickly is that U.S. veterans are dying at an unprecedented rate by their own hand, and for those that are living, a sense of feeling lost is common. As we all know, 22 veterans die by suicide each day, and we've had several challenges. You participated several challenges. The issue is that the rates of suicide are higher among younger veterans, 18 to 29, and lowest among older veterans, age 60 and older. So that is our prime real estate home ownership buying power. That is our prime age to start a family, create a community, be involved in a community. And that's where this whole, as we celebrate just you and I today, we have several veterans that are part of our delegate. We have NAWRB, we could go down the list. And then we also have several veterans that are on the NDILC to really curate that sphere of help, through the extended family, maybe not the actual members, but the actual our partners, but the people who are in their family, right? So let's talk a little bit more about, Nancy, how, if we look at those terms, you do so much work on the affordable housing and the work that you do at Mountain West Financial. How does you bring into the ecosystem on this great day on celebrating veterans that you would like to share with everyone?
I mean, just by tackling the two top barriers for female veterans, and it's lack of capital and the lack of mentors, in the homeownership and business arena. I mean, 40% of female veteran entrepreneurs indicated that navigating resources or local communities was difficult. That's half of our female veterans that find that, getting access to capital is different. Here at Mountain West Financial, we do have programs, that help our veterans. For example, our CalPath or Path product that will give them a free rate float downs and just, yeah. But not only that, I mean, it really does help veterans or people who serve. It's not just to veterans. We did extend that special to veterans, so it's a limited time, for veterans. But you can now take advantage of the VA, your normal VA product, which is very beneficial to veterans, 0% down, and get a free rate float down. And right now with rates going higher, that might help. So there are products out there that we do to help. But like I said, it's just about educating the community and letting them know what's out there, because 50% of women veterans shouldn't find it difficult to become a homeowner or open a business.
Well, to your point, here I talked about even the basic principles. Forget home ownership or starting entrepreneurship. How do they get a job? How do they take care of the kids? And where do they basically fundamentally live? So even, and now you're taken to the next level. So talk to me. This is exciting news, everyone. A float down. I mean, how many times has this ever been offered before? I've never in 30 plus years have ever heard of a free float down on interest rates. This is incredible. I think this should be breaking news, and we should have opened with this. I mean, this is huge, because if we can help, and this is the core, transitional housing. It's not just for the veterans. It's transitional housing for the aging population. It's transitional housing for homelessness. It's transitional housing for people just getting out of the hospital. It's transitional housing for people who are experiencing some form of depression, or single mothers, or going through an abusive relationship, or, if you think of the greatest resignation happening right now at 54%, you talk about people who can't handle the megaverse. What's the megaverse about? We're going to do everything virtually, not in physical aspect. I'm going to do all my shopping. I'm going to do all my life. I'm going to make my body look, crazy good on a virtual reality. So how can you, the product that you have, when did it start, and how long does it run, and how many other people are doing it, phenomenal stuff that you're doing? Hello.
Yeah, so the CalPath and Path product has been around with Mountain West Financial for quite some time. We just recently added the VA portion to it, just because the true intent of this product is to help those who serve our community. Mountain West Financial is big about supporting our local community. So we thought that by adding the VA product to our existing CalPath and Path product, would help with home ownership. Besides having competitive rates and that one-time free rate float down that I mentioned, they'll get a flat underwriting fee, a flat processing fee. And with FHA, we can now go as low as a 580 FICO score and conventional 620. So besides veterans, if you're also, a public employee, you would definitely qualify for this product as well. Because, we do have a lot of public servants that we'd like to make sure that we're catering to. And a lot of our veterans go into public service afterwards. They do join, some become teachers, some join, the police force. So, it just made sense for us to open it up to our veterans.
That is phenomenal. I would love to see that information and see what we can do here at the organization, because we're here to help the denials, right? I'm working with a company that wants to focus on getting more of the denials approved. And that to me is a focal point of the denials. And I believe there should be no competition in it, meaning that if you can't provide the loan for it, who else in your arsenal can? Because at the end of the day, you're going to be remembered as the one who got the loan, even though you not physically might have funded it, and even though you physically didn't get paid for it, you were the one that was the successful one to actually pass it on to your colleagues to get it done, right? Because not everyone has the same underwriting, and the same should be reciprocated back to you. For those who don't have a very stringent policy, or not running that special that you're running, or that ability to have a different program, because we all are in it together. And that's where the whole theme of collaboration breeds success. And that's why we went ahead and continued this live broadcast today, because it is this nugget. I mean, I would have never got this nugget out of you had we not had this conversation. Hello, what other secret you got in that beautiful head of yours? And I really believe that is the power of this communication. Is not about the mass, it's about the quality of the content and what we can do to share. So that being said, so we have a one-time free float down, you have fixed fees to make it get done. What else? And we have very reasonable FICO scores. Is there anything else that you know of, whether it's your product or not, that we can help our veterans as far as something that's local happening in your community? Like, I know there's a lot of veteran sponsored programs for like the PPP loans and the EIDL loans that are a little different, that a lot of communities are doing something very service oriented. Like, San Diego has the largest population of active and retired veterans in the nation. There's a lot of, we'll call it niche access to capital programs, but the problem is what? We don't know about it. We can't share it. Because we're at a data overload. So what other programs that you have been in your arsenals through maybe different diverse groups, maybe through different platforms or colleagues that you could share with us?
I'd actually like to mention another nonprofit, NAWRB. NAWRB has been around. I'm sure you've heard of them, but
we have a collaboration. We're good.
Yeah. But they are a USA Home Ownership Foundation program. And, they're a national nonprofit, and they're dedicating to improving the lives of service members and veterans through housing and philanthropy. And I think that by joining organizations, you have the VFW as well. There's many organizations that are out there that are curating information specifically towards veterans. So I think it's very important for us to know that there are other organizations that are there to serve our servicemen and women, even organizations like ours, you know, that have veteran women as certified spokeswomen. I mean, I think that's we have Leora Ruse, and there's others as well in our group that, you know, they've lived it. They are our women veterans, and, you know, or active duty even, right? Because we have someone who was part of our organization that's being deployed. So I think by connecting yourself with others that are, you know, well ingrained within the community definitely helps. I know I have, you know, colleagues within Mountain West Financial as well that are veterans, and they are passionate. I mean, they are passionate about advocating for veterans because they've been veterans themselves, and they're passionate about home ownership just like I am. So, you know, just partner with those who care and want to help.
So great point, but I'd like to take it one step further. There's a little story I started at the very beginning where Erica Courtney, like I said, had flown back, and you're going to see this incredible article that's going to come out to our next magazine of Technology Human Balance, where she took it upon herself to fly back to Virginia to help this lady who had got out of service and had no resources because she was a woman, and there was not enough resources. There was no resources in the state because there was not enough women who were veterans in the state. And she had called multitude different services that were part of, you know, the 42,000 organizations that are here to serve the veterans when they get out, part of the VA and all the different aspects. So you say collect and great, agree. But when all else fails, find out who those individual people that are really going to take the next level that might be able to make a change. And to that point, she was able to get the woman into housing, was able to get the woman into get champions of the local community to actually support, get her a place to live, get her into the system, and get 3 square meals, where she had been homeless for 7 months because no one was there to help her in this program, and not one organization could help her, or I shouldn't say could, but did help her is a better way of putting it. So here's the statistics that's mind-blowing. Regional offices are so backlogged, they're up to 2 years behind on deciding veterans' appeals. The Board of Veterans' Appeals is even more backlogged. Appeals at the BVA, analogous is their acronym, are taking up to 3 years to decide. The problem is elderly veterans don't always have time on their side. In fact, a study cited in a research article discussing issues facing the elderly veteran population that approximately 3,000 veterans die each year with their disability compensation claims that's still mirrored in some stage of the agency's adjudication process. That is a whole nother spectrum that we're talking about of the aging population, but it starts at that young age. We were talking in the 20s and 30s on how we've got to capture them before they get to a point in that transitional housing to know resources like yourself. How do you co-live? How do you have a community living? Take 2 veterans, put them together. Take a veteran and someone who's looking for a job, put them together to be able to afford to community living, right? Single mothers, what that looks like. So today there's roughly 10 million veterans are age 65 and over, and 39% of all the veterans in America. The proportion will remain unchanged for the next 20 years. The number of veterans aged 85 and over will have increased by 600% from 1990 to 2010. And there will be nearly 2 million in all. That is mind-blowing. I don't know about anyone else on this call that watches this video on YouTube and Anchor and our website, and we could go down the list, but that's I had no idea. So now the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs has now designated the state veterans home system as its primary provider of long-term care service. The hundreds of new homes are slated to be built in the next 10 years, but even with aggressive expansion, the demands for service will continue to exceed the supply. So you want to talk about affordable housing? You want to talk about basic living? I mean, whoa. So let's get this out there. So let's talk about as veterans age, they need about 80% will develop the need for some long-term services and support. So I think I think what would be really cool for us to do here at our organization and partners and collaboration as we have is how do we become really resourceful on the stages of economic level, age, buckets they start in, and as they can transition, because your life cycle of what you started out, Nancy, I remember when I first met you, you were as quiet as a mouse. And now look at you on every stage. Okay, Desiree, I'm going to host this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to be there. I'm going to be out there. And look at that change you've made. So if we were to put you back into that box 2 years ago and where you are today, you would not be happy. So that transition of how you've aged, how you've grown, how you've become a better leader, a stronger leader, that happens to all of us, no matter where we are, whether we serve in the service or not. So I think that would be a call to action here is if you're watching this or someone you know that has a resource to help veterans that is niche, small or big, I don't care if it's one person who has a voice or an ideology or a way to scale and they need access to capital, or they're very successful doing something, let us know. Let Nancy know. Let all our delegates know. Make sure you connect with us because this is where we collaboration breeds success. It's my core mission to understand fundamentally what you have to offer, what's underneath the hood that you're not telling everyone. Because the more I can get exposure of, oh, you open up your heart, the better off we all can be. Fair enough? You're on mute. You're on mute. We can't hear you.
Sorry about that. No, what I was saying is, fair enough. And what I'd like to add that is, let's also double down in making sure that, like we were talking about mental health, you talked about that, maybe if you know that fellow veteran or that neighbor, invite them out to coffee. I know that now that things are, reopening, and it's becoming safer and safer to meet with people and engage socially. We are social creatures. If you see someone who's down and out or just needs a friend, maybe I think that would be a good way of us also supporting them and also supporting policies and formal initiatives that protect those who have, less than us or less power than us. I think that would also is another call to action that I'd like to add that you
absolutely. I think, well, okay, so here's the section just about women. Women, and remember, this was by Erica Courtney, our NDILC, a council member. Women veterans face unique challenges that their male counterparts and female business owners do not. As the fastest growing cohort within the veteran community of 9.4%, 2 million, growing to 16.3% by 2043, it is imperative we capture data on this demographic to address specific needs. Historically, only 1.4% of all female Americans have served in the armed forces. Their unemployment and suicide rates are at epidemic high. They generally have family to care for, are less likely to win contracts, higher rates of homelessness, do not identify as a veteran, or translate the stories well into civilian speak. I love the way she puts that, civilian speak, or are less likely to ask for loans, lack of VA mental and physical health care addressing women's needs, and the cultural challenge of going from a soldier to what society somewhat expects appropriate behavior to be a female. That's a mouthful. Mentally to process. They may become entrepreneurs by necessity as they face unusually high unemployment rates of 11.1% compared to 7.1%. And the thing that really struck me is younger women veterans face a rate of 35.4% of unemployment. That's mind-blowing. They're less likely to have family to take care of them, hard time to translate. And the idea is that when you go through to it, women veterans are 3 times as likely to experience homelessness and poverty over non-veteran women. They suffer higher rates of PTSD and depression over their male veteran counterparts, but less substance abuse. Here we are. So the idea is that, and women account for 95% of all reported sex crime victims and considered seriously unreported due to retribution. The number that were reported for the VA healthcare, the number of veterans ranging from VA healthcare increased 46% from 237,000 to 456,000. So that to me means our ecosystem of life, quality life. This is what we have focused this on, this entire organization, partnership. And people say, well, Desiree, you have real estate. How does healthcare have to do with real estate? How does the ability to be with the information that you're sharing about the technology base, how does that do with real estate? How does, dealing with business ownership have to do with home ownership? We all have to live, work, and exist on a form of real estate. And remember, real estate is land, water. You can live on a boat, which I did. The land underneath it. You can live in a portable that's on top. You can live in space to some degree. Not everyone does it. There's a few select world astronauts that get to. But the idea is that real estate is an existence of your body, physical as we are right now, has to reside somewhere in all capacities. Our health has to be part of where we get put as we age out. Are we gonna live at home? Are we gonna be in a senior citizen center? Are we gonna be in assisted living? Where our hospitals are based, that is real estate. And most importantly, our crops are grown on real estate, maybe cubically in an incubator of a test tube that's in a what do they call it, in a culturally raised one, versus in that of a on the ground, because they now have air waves of doing it, and you can raise them on a wall and things like that. So that being said, real estate is the whole ecosystem of how our existence is. And that's what I want to connect the dots. And I really want to make that focus on. So as far as the Veterans Day, let's end on a very positive note. Let's talk about, we have never seen more, I think, support of communication. We have a long, 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 long way to go, but at least we're talking about it. We're seeing better action being done to some degree. And the thing that I see now is, because we have this attention on so much data is going past us, we can see the effects of our supply chain. And our supply chain is so powerful that the one thing I've noticed that is so powerful is the military is so incredible about training. And I've heard this from so many veterans, how we work as a team, how we support each other. We're in it for the long haul. Hockey, you have the we team, the basketball, you have the team. You can't be a singular person and win the team. You got to be everyone. So military is all about the we. When we get out, it's survival of you or I and not the we. And what do we need in the ecosystem? We need the we.
Yes.
So I believe that if we could all help share the resources, how do we get access to home ownership through these incredible, and when people don't realize an extra $100 here, $200 here, $1,000 in saving and doing a refinance, or several $1,000s, that little interest rate change, not paying for services that you are allocated for free because you didn't know about them, they add up. And that being said, more people have means to dedicate time and energy to make that change. And my call to action is the 42,000 organizations that are out there. Don't collect money to say, collect money that turns into action.
Absolutely. We need more empathy warriors. We need people who are actually going out there and, making a difference.
I love that. Empathy warriors. I'm going to steal that phrase.
And that is a perfect segue to wrap it up. As I said earlier, to our veterans, we thank you for your service and know that we are here to protect and uplift you. Please join us on our next principle. Number 12 principle is to build equality and empower women every day to achieve an equal playing field. All right, call to action is that we need more empathy warriors, and I hope to see my empathy warriors on our next call. Thank you.
I love it. That's awesome. All right, everyone, have a beautiful day. Happy Veterans to everyone. And most importantly, if you're out and walking around and you have this beautiful day, go up. And as Colin Powell once told me, he says the greatest gift you can give someone is that you see him standing at a Starbucks or whatever. Just walk up completely unannounced and say, I got that tab. It is one of the coolest things that I was like, that is an awesome. It's something we can do every day. So thank you very much, Nancy, for hosting. Everyone have a great one. And we'll see you next week. We're going to do the Build Equity, and it'll be a different channel because of today. We're honoring our veterans today. We're going to do it next week to build equity and achieve power. So thank you very much. Have a great one, everyone. We'll talk to you later.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.